Bine v-am găsit la un nou episod Cariere 360, spațiul în care aducem împreună reflexii și resurse pentru cei care vor să își construiască sau să își redefinească parcursul profesional. Fiecare episod este o invitație la o conversație sinceră și autentică despre cum ne alegem drumul, cum îl urmăm, cum ne reinventăm și mai ales despre ceea ce înseamnă în profunzime să avem o carieră cu sens. Cariere 360 este un proiect inițiat de Departamentul de Asistență Socială, Jurnalism, Relații Publice și Sociologie, din cadrul Facultății de Științe Socio-Umane, Universitatea 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐥𝐨𝐬 din Sibiu. De asemenea, țin să vă reamintesc faptul că aceste discuții nu ar fi fost posibile fără sprijinul partenerului nostru. Somarest este o companie de marochinărie care produce componente de lux pentru marochinărie și încălțăminte. Somarest susține excelența și pasiunea în muncă și crede în implicarea socială pentru siguranța și starea de bine a angajaților, dar și pentru o comunitate mai prosperă. Invitatul meu de astăzi este un profesor care știe să transforme jurnalismul într-un exercițiu de cetățenie activă și comunitatea într-o punte între generații și valori democratice. Fără a vă pune prea mult pe gânduri, alături de mine este Carlos López-Olano, profesor de jurnalism la Universitatea din Valencia, jurnalist, formator, podcaster și chiar autor. Carlos are o carieră impresionantă, construită la intersecția dintre educație, mass media și implicare civică. Predă cursuri de jurnalism de televiziune, comunicare publică și educație media, dar e cunoscut și în afara sălii de curs, acolo unde explorează teme precum istoria recentă, democrația și drepturile omului. Thank you very much for participating in our podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks to invite me. Of course, I'm happy. I'm glad to be here in your podcast, and I am happy to be in your fantastic University of Sibiu. And I want to thank you, of course, Alberto. I want to thank Adela Popa and Annabella Beju, of course, that they treat me fantastically. I'm very happy to be here.
Carlos, you are a journalist, a professor, a podcast host, a writer, and a civic voice in your community. Before we dive into all that roles, who is Carlos López-Olano in your own words? So how would you describe the path that brought you here?
Yeah, well, I am a full-time professor of the University of Valencia. I am dedicating to the teaching journalism and communication. I'm happy about that, but I have worked a lot of time, 20 years. Maybe I have done a lot of things because I'm a little older. No, it's at the end is the question. I have been working as a lot of time as a journalist in different TV stations, very important TV stations, and of course I know very well the business, no, of the communication, especially in TV, about TV. That I always have been working in TV. Now I am professor, full-time professor since 7 or 8 years ago. But when they asked me, what are you? No, I always answer that I am a journalist. I am a journalist. Because, well, I am professor of journalism, of course, and communication. But now I continue working as a journalist. Every time I have, because I like it, I love it to work as a journalist. Now I work in what the kind of issues I love. No, it wasn't possible if you are earning your money. No, you have to work in what they tell to you. No, and now I can choose my issues. No, and it's fantastic. No, but at the end I am a journalist. No, I'm a journalist teaching journalism. That it's fantastic also.
What has been the biggest challenge you faced while blending journalism, academic activity, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, to blend the world of academia, no, and the world of practical work is not easy because at the end they are very different, and all what you do in the practical world as a journalist, it doesn't count for your academic career. You have to repeat the things that you have to do to be a full professor. No, it's they are very not communicated ways of earning the life. No, at the end you have to have a double professional life. No, a professional life as a practical worker and as a theoretical worker, as an academia worker. No, and it's difficult to combine it. But at the end, I'm happy with that because it was a very tough time. It was hard to combine it, but I am happy with that because I think that at the end, for the students, it's very good to have the opportunity that your professor, no, the teacher that is teaching you how to do journalism, if the professor has the experience, no, of being practically a journalist or working in television, well, at the end, the vision is better for the student.
You have worked with major Spanish broadcasters like Canal 9, like Antena 3, and later with Apunt, but your most significant experience is in the podcast 𝐿𝐵𝐵, which is a transmedia initiative, and I wanted to tell us a little bit more about that because it's very interesting, and I know you traveled a lot for it. So tell us a little bit, please.
Yeah, 𝐿𝐵𝐵, the meaning of 𝐿𝐵𝐵 is the wall, no? The wall is the name is for the our wall that, well, in Spain, you know that we have 40 years of Francisco Franco, that was the fan of Mussolini and Hitler, no? But the difference in the history of Spain is in Spain, the fascists win the war. And Franco was the dictator in 40 years in Spain. No? It was 40 years ago, when I was a child, it changed all, of course, and came the democracy. But the democracy was not an easy way of changing the things. And at the end, during the last 40 years, we didn't speak about the crimes of the fascists. No, it was like it was not forbidden, but it was like general thought of we don't have to talk about these things. No, now it's changing. We think that at the end we have to speak about these crimes, these terrible things that happened in Spain, with thousands of Republicans fighting for the liberty against Franco. No, yes, they didn't win the war, but now maybe it's time to recover all these stories. No, it's a good thing to recover our history. Is late? No, we think it's not late. It's true that it was 85 years ago, but we have it's like a subject that you didn't pass. No, you have to pass it. This program of 𝐿𝐵𝐵 is for recovering all these stories about. In Spain, we call it the memoria democrática. It's the democratic memory. No, we have to have memories about all these crimes of the Frankism, no? And it's good to recover it, to speak with very old people that they are 100 and more years old, but they remember, no, all these things, and to recover all these testimonies is fantastic. We in this project we do this kind of function. We have broadcasted 4 seasons of the 𝐿𝐵𝐵, the wall, and well, we are still working in that. There are a lot of minutes, no, and hours of programming about all these things. And well, we think it's we have a future, but we have to remaining working in that things.
I know this project is very important for the younger generation because they don't have to forget what happened then. And I want you to tell us a little bit about what transmedia means and what do you exactly put in your podcast, because it's not an audio or video podcast. You do all things of very interesting stuff. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I am interested also as not only as a journalist, also as a researcher, no, or member of the academy. No, we have the obligation of research about things that in the future will be important in the field of journalism and communication. No? I think the podcast, it's maybe, I'm not sure, no? But maybe it's important for the future. We live in a social crisis in the world of journalism, in different senses, and we have to find ways of funding the future of the journalism. And maybe the podcast is part of this future. I recommend to our students that they do a podcast because they like podcast. Podcast is fantastic. Podcast is very different. Maybe video podcasts as you are doing now, no? But are podcasts with video. There's maybe a little television, but at the end they are podcasts, no? I'm interested in all these things. I have a group of research of we are 12 researchers of all the universities in Spain working these things. And well, I'm interested in theoretically research, of course, but also in doing a program of podcasts, of course, but we always want to be innovative because I think that at the end, if you are in the academy, you are in the university, you have to look for to be innovative, to change the things, not doing the same things that you can do it well. I have worked 20 years in television. I know how to do more or less, no? Good TV, good traditional TV, but I want to do different things, no? I want to change the media. And one of the things that I can do, it's this program, no? We do a podcast, yes, but it's a transmedia. Why transmedia? Well, because in a podcast, of course, we take with camera, no? We do image. We use immersive cameras. We use galleries of pictures, of portraits. We use a lot of different materials accompanying the podcast that you can see throughout internet, of course, no, and throughout the social media, no. You have in different social media, no. Well, at the end, we have to be innovative. We have to try new things, and we want at the end to arrive to the young people also, no. And young people is not in the traditional television. They are in the social media, especially. Well, but we come to look out for this audience in the social media and in the being innovative.
I can imagine that this is more appealing to the younger generation, that type of content.
Yeah, yes, because at the end you can tell the traditional things like the memoria democrática, no? Democratic memory. You are speaking, you are talking about things that happened a century ago, no? A century, 100 years ago, more or less, no? It's things about history. But you can tell them in a different way, in a transmedia way. And to be innovative in these things is a way of being near from the young people.
Mm-hmm. We both know that this work isn't easy. So what were some difficulties that you encountered in this project specifically?
Yeah, it's always difficult to find funds, of course. No, podcast is fantastic because it's not expensive. It's not expensive compared to TV. I have worked in TV all my life, and if you want to do a good program of TV, of course you have to do a good work of journalism, good journalism, of course, but you need also a lot of money. Because if you don't have a lot of money, it's not possible to do a program of TV. And for doing a podcast, you can, of course, you need a good journalist. No, your good journalist is always it's a main ingredient. No, but at the end, you don't need a lot of money. You need a little of money, yes, because without money, it's not possible to do nothing. But less money than in TV. No? But we need funds, not so much, but some funds. And at the end, working with democratic memory in Spain and all over the world, around the world, is difficult because there are a lot of different parties, or far right parties. In Spain, the name of the far right parties are Vox, no? In Romania are, of course, but not only Romania, in Brazil, in France, in Germany, in the United States. It's a worldwide problem, no? The expansion of these far right parties. They don't like democratic memory. In Spain, they say that they are not Franquist. No?
But they try to hide it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true, really, no? But they presume, no, we are not Franquist. But they don't like to speak about Frankism, no? They don't like that another people speak about the Frankism, no? I think that we have to speak about our history. We have to speak it because we didn't speak in the last 40 years, no? And we have to speak now. And it's difficult because they don't want to let us to speak about this.
And now we came back to Romania for taping another episode of the series in Bucharest. Since probably most of our listeners are from Romania, it would be more interesting to tell them about the topic of the episode and how is that going?
Yeah, sure that it's not known in Romania, but it's a very interesting story. It's about free radio. It's the name of the radio is Radio España Independiente, but they call it La Pirenaica, no? La Pirenaica. It was a historical, mythical radio station. In Spain, they started to broadcast in 45 in Russia, in Moscow. And after 20 years, 10 years, only 10 years, in 55, they come to Bucharest and they broadcasted from Bucharest from 55 to 77. 22 years broadcasting from Bucharest. The broadcasting of this Radio Pirenaica was promoted by the Partido Comunista de España, no, the Communist Party of Spain, but helped by the government of first of Russia, of course, and later of Romania. They broadcasted for Spain, of course, with all the programmation in Spain. And at the end, they were fighting against Franco from not from the country, because it was impossible to broadcast the kind of things that they said, no, in the radio from Spain. But in that time, that was the time without internet, obviously, no. But they can hear the radios from very far away, no? And it was possible to broadcast from Bucharest and to hear from all the Spain, no? With only little radio, it was possible to hear this voice of the liberty, no? Of freedom, that was Radio España Independiente. Was very interesting. In his better times, there were 25, 30 journalists, Spanish journalists, and dozens of Romanian technicians helping and working in this station. It was really very important. And for the Spanish people, it was very important because it was the only way to hear independent news about what's happening in Spain, because the programmation was only for Spain, was done in Bucharest, but was done for Spain, only for Spain. I am researching about that. I want to visit Bucharest next week. I want to go to the place that was in 22 years. It was an old building. I know where it is. It's closed now, of course, but I'm searching about to find people that work it in the this radio station.
Spain is home to one of the largest Romanian communities outside Romania, and their presence has significantly shaped aspects of Spanish society, from the labor market to cultural integration. From your perspective as a journalist, how has the Romanian diaspora influenced Spanish social or political discourse, and how is their story typically portrayed in Spanish media?
Yeah, yes, there are a lot of Romanian, especially I am from Valencia. Valencia is a community with 3 provinces. Is Valencia, is the name of the central province, is Alicante, that is in the south, and in the north is Castellón. Castellón, I think, is the most important province. I don't know why. Well, maybe there are a lot of work because it's very industrial, no? Castellón, and it's very developing place, no? There are a lot, really a lot. I have been living in Castellón. It's very near from Valencia. I had a house 10 years, and it's easy to be in Castellón, in the city of Castellón, and to see shops, especially for the Romanian, with all kind of things of Romanian, because there are really a lot. No? You know that, speaking also, no, about the expansion of this kind of parties, of political parties of far right, no? The immigration is not welcome for these countries. It's curious because you have here, of course, your particular parties, no, of this kind. In Spain, they refuse the immigrants from Romania, from Islamic, of course, from Morocco, or from other countries, no, but also for Romania. Here in Romania, they refuse, for example, the Ukrainian citizens. Well, you have at the end, it's good to recover the history. No, it's the function that we want to accomplish with 𝐿 I like always to speak about the what is known as the intra-history. Intra-history is the history, not of the big names of the history. It's the history of our parents, of our familiars. No, in my case, my parents were immigrants. Also, in the 60s, in the 70s, they were immigrants in Netherlands. No, it's very typical in Spain to go to Germany or to Netherlands or go to the north of the Africa. My parents were in Netherlands 5 years and 5 years in the north of Africa. No? If you remember these things, you can understand better what is the phenomena of the immigration, and you can understand at the end that the world is always a cycle. No, it's repeating all the time. No, and maybe you are not in Spain. We don't need to travel abroad, no, but we needed it 20 years ago, and maybe in 20 years, maybe our sons in the future we will need another time to travel abroad. No? When you are conscious of these things, at the end you are you admit better the immigration, no? And you have to understand that at the end, an immigrant wants a better life for him and his family, no? And it's a very respectfully thing, no? And we have to know about it.
This is why I think it's very important for the teens to know history. And going back to the teens, a lot of them nowadays often face doubts while choosing a journalism or a media career because of certainties like misinformation or job insecurity. What advice would you give to those who want to pursue this path?
Yeah, the piece of advice I give to my students all the time, that's they have to fight if they want to be a journalist, a good journalist. It's not easy, it's true. Because it's not easy to work as a journalist, it's not easy to earn a good salary in these times. It was different 20, 30 years ago when I started to work in journalism, because they were the good times. now are not the good times for journalists. But I think the journalists will have future. It's not the end of journalism. It's not possible. I can believe it. No, I think we need the journalism, and I invite my students to fight, to work harder if they want. If we really love this job, that for me is a better job in the world. No, I always say that to be a journalist is to tell stories. No, you have to learn to tell stories. To tell stories is a fantastic thing. No, if you choose the right stories to tell, of course. No, we need the journalists. No? And I invite my students, the young students, that they have to fight, of course.
And also they have all the tools they need with AI, and
Yeah.
the only thing that matters now is the underpayment, I think. But they have all the resources in the world to learn job, to learn journalism very good, and to become better at it.
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
If you could leave our listeners with one important thought or question or quote to carry with them in their careers or personal lives, what would that be?
Well, this a fantastic quote I like to remember is from Kapuscinski. You know, that's a fantastic journalist. And they say, I think it's the most marvelous quote about journalists. That is, if you want to be a good journalist, you have to be a good person. It's not possible to be a good journalist if you are not a good person. Kapuscinski is a very clever journalist and a very good man also.
Thank you very much, Carlos, for the discussion.
Thank you to you. I'm very glad to have these minutes. It was a pleasure.
Vă mulțumim și vouă pentru că ne-ați urmărit. Până data viitoare, numai bine și rămâneți aproape pentru și mai multe episoade din Cariere 360.